is the Big O Show. This 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 is the Big O Show.
Big O, we told you we ain't playing no games, man. It's just surely probably Pablo, Culture, Lord Productions.
Good morning, South Florida.
This is the Big O Show.
You're tuned into the Big O Show.
This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
Judge, you tuned in to the hottest sports radio show with Orlando, a.k.a. the Big O. He covers all the South Florida teams, from the Dolphins to the Heat. Well, you know what I mean. Monday to Friday, Scottie Pablo in the Big O Show. Oh, on the radio, the top's where we gonna go. Andy, that's the way we roll. Locked on the morning show, Big O. No one has a similar show. Talk sports, talk plays, talk live and direct. Because nobody do it better than Big O in the set. From sunrise, it's alive, it's the best of the best. He's got the fans, got the heat, he's the best of the best. Big O, the only talking sports with a style.
Break it, I'm on in. It's Big O-N. Thank you for tuning in, keeping me glued in. Stay tuned because right here's where the woman's in. Same place because right here some of them begin. Simply call and just state your opinion. Real talk, sport talks, the Big O Show. Yeah, you love it, yeah, you like it. Call them and let them know.
Culture, probably Pablo. You know, now introducing the man of the hour, Big O, a.k.a. Orlando Gary. Yeah.
Welcome aboard. Good morning. Yes, sir. Time to have a little fun on a beautiful Tuesday. Oh, there's some rain out there, so be careful. Don't know how it is wherever you're at in other parts of the United States or the world, but we do want to thank you for joining us here on the show and hanging out a little bit with us here today. I normally tell you there's like a ton of things to talk about. I can't say there is a ton of things to talk about today. Man, preparing for the show today was a little bit of a mission. I will say that. But anyway, got a lot of things that we'll get to here. Now, I don't know if we have a ton of subjects when it's all said and done. We'll take your questions and your comments all throughout the day. Remember, there are many ways to reach out to the program on Twitter at Big O Show, right there on YouTube, on the YouTube chat board. Of course, there's always a super chat, another way to contact us and reach out to us if you have any questions, comments, or any kind of compliments too. Once in a while, we'd like to take some compliments there. Of course, it's I got to say, it is a better morning for those of us in the crypto world, right? Because crypto's been going like this the last couple of days. I know I see John Rouse is on the chat board there, but he was on earlier, so I don't know if he's still on. If he's still on, John's got to be loving life because Ethereum has shot up now big time. So I know John is definitely happy after purchasing 13 Ethereum. I think it was earlier this was it last week? I think it was when he purchased it. So Ethereum like this over 2,200 right now. So I think John bought it somewhere in the 1900 range. So he is already riding high, as they say. Where's it at? 2235 right now, Ethereum. So those of us that are in the crypto world, we're thinking that maybe the consolidation period is over, and now it's starting to make its climb back to higher stratospheres. In other words, it would be nice. It would be nice. It would be nice. So I will say that has been the pleasant thing over the last couple of days. Those of us that are involved in crypto, you see your portfolio really climbing here over the last couple of days. So if you took advantage of the dip for the last couple months, congratulations to you, because you are going to benefit in a big time way. So we got a little crypto there to talk about. We got a bunch of other things that I want to get to. Obviously, a lot of basketball. Last night, Paul George stepped up, man, in a big time way. I got to give him props. He was everything that a superstar needed to be. Now, remember, this is something that he has to do because he has no choice, okay? He has screwed up a couple of games here, and so now last night he was, what was it, 16 of 20 or something? What was it yesterday? It was 15 of 20, 3 of 6 from three-point range. Talk about, 15 of 20, and you end up with 41 points. That's efficient as hell. He was awesome. 13 rebounds, 6 assists, 3 steals, 41 minutes, 41 points. He was actually what the team needed yesterday. And I know that the Suns are young, and this is part of their growing pains and learning how to, finish teams off. It's not an easy thing. Plus, the Clippers are a team loaded with veterans, and veterans that, Reggie Jackson has pride. DeMarcus Cousins is playing for a future contract for somebody else out there. So he's got to give effort and play his ass off. And he was doing a good job of being a Paul George defender too after the game. But listen, I've picked on Paul George enough, and you got to give him credit when he deserves the credit. And I told you that this is a legacy moment for Paul George. This was a hell of a performance last night. It doesn't erase the 2 screw-up games here in this series. Doesn't erase it. It's a nice start, but I told you already earlier in this series, he has to win the series. Okay? Doesn't matter about the performance. He's got to find a way to lead the Clippers back to winning the series. If he doesn't, it still goes back to those 2 games. It still goes back to those missed free throws. You know what I mean? It's just, it's kind of like watching, A-Rod would do this a lot. He'd pick up like garbage runs towards the end of games and things like that because he wasn't clutch a lot of times. Ryan Tannehill used to like get yards towards the ends of games and kind of, stack the stats up a little bit and really wasn't as good as it looked, that kind of stuff. So this was a hell of a performance. I got to give him a lot of credit for that performance, but you got to follow it up with 2 more. That's the key. If you don't follow it up with 2 more and you follow it up with another dud somewhere in the next 2 games, It goes with the other 2 games. That was a dud. So, again, this is kind of the legacy moment right now that's going on with Paul George. And again, fantastic yesterday. I got to give and Reggie Jackson. Wow, dude, Reggie Jackson. I mean, we had Mr. October, right? I mean, I guess we call this Reggie Jackson. We call him Mr. June. Wow, big shot after big shot, 4 of 7 from 3-point range, 23 points. Nice dunk down the lane too. Shot 8 of 14, very efficient overall. 14 shots, 23 points. Booker was pretty good last night. 9 of 22, 4 of 6 from 3-point range. He had 31 points. CP3 was very good with 22, although while he was good with 22 points, 8 assists, and only 2 turnovers, at one point or another, you got to stop shooting threes, Chris. That's the one thing. I mean, you're 0 of 6. You're not a great 3-point shooter as it is. So if it's not going on, then you need to kind of drop it. You know what I'm saying? If you're Chris Paul, and maybe settle more for 2-pointers. That's probably what you should do, is settle for some 2-pointers when it's all said and done. But I mean, listen, CP3 is doing his best and fighting through the injuries and everything. Now, this is all part of the growing pains for a young Suns team. And if they're going to be a special team, they will find a way to finish off the Clippers in the next 2 games and get to the finals. They got to see, if they get to the finals, they got a great shot at winning it all, man. I mean, tonight we got the Bucks and the Hawks. They could beat these teams in the finals. And I know the Bucks, it'll be interesting to see where Trae Young is tonight. But, going back to the Suns have, this is a moment for them that they had their success in the bubble last year towards the end, right? They had that was a 9-game stretch or whatever it was. And people were like, whoa, wait a minute, they didn't make the playoffs, but wow, are they a team to watch the following season? And sure enough, they were. They added CP3, they added a Crowder, and the rest is history. And look where they're at right now. So if you're going to become special, these are the kind of moments that you've got to take advantage of. Because if you fall short in these moments, then that sets the scene for the following year. And can you get over the hump? And so then that's the question. Whereas if you get to the finals as a young team, I think people, instead of looking at it kind of flukish, they're going to look at it with, a lot of authority with it. And so they've got to find a way to finish these guys off in the next 2 games, because it's a great story. They got a really nice young team that they can build on. And this is a young team that has shown even maturity and success without CP3 in the lineup. Even when he's been injured, they've been able to overcome and win. And that's impressive for this young team. But in order for this story to continue to kind of grow, you know what I mean? Because it ends with a thud if you lose in this series. Like, okay, young team was really hot, but damn, they lose to the Clippers without Kawhi. And then that's where you kind of lose, a little bit of the credibility of it. Okay, well, maybe young team, they just got on a roll, kind of like the Heat last year. They got on a roll and they rode the wave, but they really weren't that good. And this year proved that the Heat weren't that good. Well, the Suns will have a little bit of those question marks if they lose this series. When you're leading 3-1, you got to find a way to finish it off. And that'll be the interesting part for Booker and company, is finishing these guys off in the next 2 games. And then on the flip side, it's Paul George going, okay, this is my legacy moment. And I don't think if they get to the finals and they lose, I don't think people will hold it that much against Paul George, because hell, he got them to the finals without Kawhi Leonard. That's a hell of an accomplishment overall. You're going to need Kawhi Leonard in order to win the whole thing, probably, when it's all said and done. So the storylines in the NBA are just absolutely fantastic, man. And kudos to Paul George. I got to give him, some love, because I've picked on him enough as it is. But I'm not going to go overboard saying that, oh, this was a the nail in the coffin that he needed for his legacy moment. No. This is him after climbing the ladder and falling back down at the bottom of the ladder. This is him climbing up a third of the way to the ladder. Okay? That's what he's doing right now. This really, it's nice, but it doesn't mean much in the big picture if you don't find a way to win this series and make up for the 2 games that you were a major screw up in at the end. So fun stuff. Stayed up last night to watch the game between those two. Tonight at 8:30, we got the Bucks and the Hawks, and really it's all about where Trae Young is, right? I mean, that to me is the entire question here. Now, here's a kid that has kind of put a nail in the coffin in his legacy, because as young as he is, and for a team that lacks so much experience in the playoffs to be where they're at now, and they've beaten some teams that are supposedly better than they are, right? And the Hawks are now proving that, no, on paper and the history and the recent history, you put them ahead of us. But we are the up-and-coming team now in the Eastern Conference. But the poor kid now's got a bruised bone, I think it is, a bruised bone in his right foot. He's questionable for tonight. He's going to play. I mean, if they want to win this series, he's got to play. They've got no shot without him. But here's the thing, too. You could tell he wasn't himself when he came back after getting that treatment in the locker room, because it just, whatever it is, man. I mean, he suffered the bone bruise on twisting that ankle up. And you were hoping, at least I was personally, that it wasn't serious, because you don't want the playoffs to be stained by something like this. We've had enough injuries as it is. It's, it would be nice to see the Hawks. And the Hawks are a team that they haven't been in this position a lot. You know what I mean? The fans haven't enjoyed this kind of success in, I don't even know how long it's been for them since the last time they were in the Eastern Conference Finals. I don't even think those Lenny Wilkins teams with Doc Rivers and Dominique Wilkins and all, I don't even know if they got to an Eastern Conference Final. I gotta look it up. I'm not exactly sure. Maybe one of you out there can look it up for me, but I don't even know if they made it. But even if it was, we're talking about early 80s, back in those days. So this the Hawks Nation, I don't know what the hell they call themselves, but they deserve a little better, man. This is a season where everything's falling into place. And, like last year for us was a bitter moment to lose Bam and Goran when they were on one hell of a roll, right? But at least we're not cheated out of the experience. Like, oh man, I don't know if we'll ever be here. We're never here. We've watched this team actually lift the trophy up 3 times. So it wasn't like it's something that we lack as Heat fans. We've watched the Heat in the Eastern Conference playoffs a bunch of times under Pat Riley. So it's not something that we're not used to. It's not something that rarely ever happens. No, it happens, and it happens quite often for us, at least overall, compared to other teams in the Eastern Conference. We're super blessed down here. You know what I mean? Pat Riley's made basketball heaven for us overall. But for the Hawks fans, you kind of feel bad for them, man, because they don't enjoy these kind of moments much. Now they're there, and their best player ends up getting an ankle injury. And if this is serious enough that even if they're good enough to survive this game, they're not going to survive against the Western Conference in the NBA Finals if that kid is not 100%. Because he is just an absolute mismatch no matter who tries to stay with him. And in the process, not only is he a mismatch, but he's also just an amazing talent in creating favorable positions for his team, because he is so hard to stop, and he is so quick, and laterally he's so good, and obviously his handle is so phenomenal, and his vision is great, that he is able to just, confuse the hell out of defenses and defenders while setting up his teammates, and he does a fantastic job of it. I think the thing with Trae Young is the wow factor is there with him. And I would imagine that even players get kind of caught up in the moment of watching him. And I think that millisecond of watching him, he sees that and he sees that you're not, right on top of your guy, which is his teammate. And that's where he gets the easy assist, because, again, this is a special player. And these kind of players, the Kobe Bryants and the Michael Jordans and the Kareem Abdul-Jabbars and the freaks of all freaks, I guess we tend to watch them. We tend to kind of be a little bit of a fan, and even the players on the court sometimes can be guilty of that. And I can see where Trae Young would be the guy that would leave people somewhat mesmerized. You know what I mean? So I don't know how healthy he can possibly be in this situation, but I would love to see him be 100% for this game tonight. It's not going to happen. Bone bruise. I don't even think he'll be healthy for the NBA Finals now, even if they survive. But that's kind of the bittersweet thing about tonight's game, because right from the get-go, if you see that Trae Young is not himself, you're going to go, well, the Hawks, it's hard for them to – because the Bucks are a damn good team overall. And if Middleton comes balling, then they're near impossible to stop. You know what I'm saying? So it's just one of those deals overall. But should be fun tonight watching the matchup between the Bucks and the Hawks. Milwaukee, by the way, leads 2-1 after taking game 1 in Atlanta. And that's the other thing, too. This is a must-win, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, it's the series is over if Atlanta loses tonight. It's over. All right, so Trae Young's not 100%, and you're down 3-1. It's over, bro. Done. History in the archives. So must win tonight. I don't know what the kid's going to do. I don't know if they shoot up his ankle or something, but they definitely got to win tonight. I'll tell you that. All right, let me do a little roll call. Steve Chapman checked in. He checked in like at 10:49. John Rouse is in the house. Ian from Brooklyn is in. John Santos. Manuel Malo. NorCal says wake and bake with the big O fatty. All right, there you go. Wake and bake, baby. Isais. Let's see. What else? Thomas Flores. NorCal says, Big O, just like you, love the original Dolphin logo. I love the original Big O original opening song. Yeah, so do I. Thank you. Yes. Very good song. Trying to get it remade, but I'm having trouble there trying to finish it off. Ray is in after X went on a podcast saying he felt a slap in the face when they brought in Byron and the rookie first round pick. I'd say his fate is sealed. Yeah, I mean, listen, I told you already, right? I think he gets traded when it's all said and done. They're this whole disrespect thing, dude. They gave you your contract, and you were the highest paid player at that moment. That's not disrespectful. What's disrespectful is that you go out and get in trouble with domestic violence, and you put yourself and the team in an embarrassing position. That's what you should be. You should be more worried about putting yourself in an ugly position. You're getting paid, and you're getting paid really good money. I love these people that act like, X acts like he's being disrespected here while he's getting paid a ton of money. You know what I mean? That to me is kind of funny. Out of this whole situation, they paid you your money, and what are you, ignorant? Do you not know the business? Do you not know the following year in free agency somebody's going to beat your contract? So the guy that beat one of the guys that beat your contract happens to now play for the Dolphins. That's the way it goes. And for them drafting Noah, I actually think that's really smart. I think we had that conversation last week when I told you one of the things I love about this front office is the foresight they have, that they're planning ahead for certain things. And it's good to know that the Dolphins have a smart front office, that they're not going to get caught by surprise. Oh my God, this guy's unhappy. We're going to lose him. And we're not planning for this is why when you release Kyle Van Noy, some people are like, oh, well, wow, what a stupid deal. They signed them to this contract and now they let them go and all that. And it's like, well, wait a minute, dude. Look at the big picture. They lost $20 million on the cap, so they've got to adjust. And they adjust because they go, well, wait a minute, Van Ginkel has grown up. He can do some of the things this guy can do. We're going to get back, what's it called? Vic, whatever, the linebacker. Now I'm brain farting now. Beagle, Vince Beagle. We're going to get back Vince Beagle. We draft Jalen Phillips. You start looking at everything else. We got guys that can kind of fill the elements of what Kyle Van Noy can do. Not one guy's going to replace him, but several people will do some of the things he brings to the table. So we'll be fine. Let's move him out. And people look at it that way, and it's the Dolphins looking at the roster going, okay, we've got to adjust to what's going on. It's not so much that it was a dumb deal. They probably would have kept the guy around for another year if they had an extra $20 million in their cap, but they didn't. So because of the pandemic, everything got cut back. Now they've got to adjust to all of that stuff. But luckily for them, they keep finding other options. Seiler is in, another guy that helps you in the pass rush. So it's one of those things that, to me, I look, that's his point of view. He wants to look at it like he was disrespected and all that good stuff. I laugh at all of that. But in the end, I'm really happy that the Dolphins have the foresight to go out there and they got themselves a safety that has corner skills, which, what have I told you from day one, right? About what happens with the Dolphin safeties nowadays. You can't have the crap that they had in the past where they had safeties that couldn't cover. Didn't make any sense, right? You got guys that could cover in a zone type situation, but not on a man. So they find a Nick Needham. Now they've got a Noah Igbenogany, and they don't stop. Why? Because it's a passing league. You don't need just two corners. It's not, oh, we got X and we got Byron. We don't need anybody else. No, hell no, dude. If the more people I can find that can cover, even better. Let's go. Bring it on. And that's what I love about this team and this front office and what they're doing right now. And they're doing what's best for the Dolphins. Okay? And what was best for the Dolphins was to sign X 2 years ago and give him a fat-ass contract. Now, if he wants to whine and bitch because it's all about him, it's funny because Flo said it the other day, last week, I think, oh, we love him, and he's a team guy, he's this and that. Yeah, I don't know. I got to question that now. Is he really a team guy? Is he? Because all I see is fingers pointing at me. Instead of saying, I'm really happy that Byron is here and Noah's here to add some depth, and we had a 10-win season, and that's what they should be talking about. Because that's what I'm pumped up about. I'm pumped up about that this is a team that is up and coming now. They got a real front office. They got a real coaching staff. They seem to have developed a team, some depth. I'm excited about their rookie class. I'm excited about the QB's second season now, that he'll be fully healthy and he'll be well-versed with the offense. Every player that was here last year and every player that was here 2 years ago should be absolutely ecstatic about what's going on with the Miami Dolphins. They should be cheering on and egging on their teammates. They should be excited about the season. They should be looking forward to bettering their mark from last year. Hey, we won 10 games. This year we get 17, guys. We got to win at least 11 or more. Let's get into the playoffs. That's what it should be all about. But for X, it's all about him right now. Oh, no, because what you did to Byron affects me. No, because drafting Noah, that's an insult to me. It's like, dude, what is your problem, bro? And listen, I did the same thing with Minka. I'm pretty consistent on this. Okay, if it gets to a point where he wants to get traded, he wants out, get the F out, bro. Get the hell out of here. That's it. Dolphins, move his ass. Take the highest bidder and let's go. Rock on. I don't want anybody that doesn't want to be here. And if you don't want to be on this team and you don't see what's coming, well, then get the hell out of here. But I've told you this already before. If I'm Flo, I'm going, well, wait a minute, dude. I'm going in my third season. So the first season I get here, this guy's injured and he's got a domestic violence issue. Now, the third season I'm here, now I'm going to have to deal with a holdout. So 2 out of 3 years, this guy's a pain in my ass. And in the first year, I won 5 games without his ass. And the secondary and the defense got better throughout the year, that first year. That's undeniable. Listen, I'm not telling you that they replaced X. I'm not telling you they have his replacement because I don't know if Noah Monogamy is going to be the guy. But I know this. If you don't want to be here, then get the hell out. That's all. If you're just going to be a constant problem, and we talked about this, right? Last week, that the one thing that kind of pisses me off about going into this new season is the X situation, because everything is so positive. The trend is this way, okay? And so the one speed bump right now is X. So you've got to deal with a guy that is just bitching and complaining about money and about me. And meanwhile, he should come out and say, I'm grateful because the Dolphins gave me a big-ass contract, and 2 years ago I had a domestic violence issue and a knee injury, and they stood by me. I mean, and do they get any credit for that? You know what I mean? So I get to a point where I kind of run out of patience with people. I don't care what you bring to the table. At one point or another, it just becomes, okay, it's just a distraction. That's all you're doing, and you're not really about the team. You say it, but you're really not it, And here's the other thing. He knows he's had several scopes. Maybe in his head, he also knows he's a ticking time bomb, and he wants to get as much money as he can before he checks out. But if you're the Dolphins, you also know he's had a bunch of knee surgeries. You already committed a bunch of money to him, and he has a domestic violence issue. And this past offseason, he was involved in an incident it wasn't him, but he was still involved with people that brought the police and attention to his family or whatever it was. And so, again, you're not choosing the right people to be around. Even though it wasn't on you, it was still in your vicinity overall. So you've got to wonder, if you're the Dolphins, what goes on in X's world when we're not around, when he's not in the building? Do they feel comfortable with him that it's always going to be positive when he's away from the building because they've already experienced a really bad situation? These are just things that I get to a point with this whole X thing, because watching what they've done over the last 2 years, it just seems like I'm going to get in trouble here with some of you on this, but it's very Shula-like what I see with Flo. Shula was that guy that he could coach teams through adversity. They could be missing a player or 2 or 3, and somehow or another he'll find a way to game plan. He'll find a way to motivate. He'll find a way to surprise you every once in a while and get things done when you thought he couldn't do it. Again, I'm not saying Flo is Shula, okay, because Shula's in another stratosphere. But there are characteristics. Like I told you, there isn't a guy that is Kyle Van Noy, but there's several guys that can kind of fill the void of Kyle Van Noy, right? And then there are characteristics that I see of Flo, and we've talked about this over the first 2 years, that there are things about Flo that remind us a lot about Shula. There just is. The way he carries himself, the way his team is prepared constantly, the way he can adjust, the way he's willing to take some chances. It's just there are things that and the way he maximizes what he has around him, because we have to say the last 2 years, first year he maximized the hell out of that roster to win 5 games, and last year he maximized the hell out of that roster to win 10 games. Very Shula-like. He's not Shula, okay? Not Shula. Understand. There are Shula characteristics. It's kind of like the Ben Simmons thing. I don't want Ben Simmons here, but man, Ben Simmons badly needs a Heat organization to straighten his ass out. Okay? Just saying. Don't want him here, but they definitely need it. No doubt about that. Let's see. What else do we have? John Rouse says 10,000 on Sheba. Hope I'm doing the right thing. Time will tell. Still have my Ethereum. You're putting 10,000 on Sheba? That is crazy. By the way, Sheba has soared in the last 24 hours. Okay? Soared in the last 24 hours. It has gone up a lot. Now, I don't know if it kind of leveled off a little bit over the last couple of hours here, but it has gone up quite a bit. It is, let me see, I'm going to give you the latest. Well, now it went a little back down again now, but it's still up 10.5%. So it's quite a bit, 10.5% is a nice little jump for Sheba, but that's a total gamble, bro. That's craziness there on your part. I would rather you put 1,000 on Sheba and 9,000 in Cardano. That's what I would do if I'm you, John. The 10,000, no. 9,000 on Cardano, 1,000 on Sheba. 1,000 on Sheba is more than enough, bro. If Sheba goes to, a couple pennies, you're be making so much money on just 1,000, you'll be fine. But Cardano is going to be a monster. So that's the one that I would tell you. I probably would. But if you're a gambler, John, which looks like you're a gambler, then if you hit with Sheba, you'll retire. Your kids will retire. Your kids will retire with the kind of money you're putting into it. Big O, when it comes to Dolphins news, you're the adult man in the room. Thank you, Thomas Flores. I appreciate you, my man. We just kind of try to see logic, man. Maybe we get it right sometimes, and sometimes we'll get it wrong because we're human beings. Troy Ortiz is in. Lisa Rose is in. James Roman is in. Matt Walker. He says the Hawks are 6-3 on the road in the playoffs. Pretty damn impressive for a young team, no doubt. Lisa says Clippers are loaded with crybabies and cheap shot artists. I wish I could have reached through the screen and slapped that Patrick Beverley when he mocked CP3. I really thought he was hurt. I thought CP3 got lucky that he fell on the foot. When he fell on his back he fell on his foot. If he hits the court, I think he gets that. I think he feels it in a big time way. Like this morning, he would be aching badly, Lisa. He got lucky he landed on that foot. That helped him out in a big time way. Yeah, Beverly is one of those guys that you can't stand, but you love him on your team because he's the Noid. He's the human Noid. Now that they brought it back for Domino's, if they wanted to hire a human being to be the Noid, it would be Patrick Beverley. Isai says they won one championship as the St. Louis Hawks in 58. They became Atlanta in 68. Yeah, but that means Atlanta hasn't won jack. That's St. Louis. Let's see what else. But I don't remember the last time they went to an Eastern Conference Finals. I don't even remember. I'm not sure if the Dominique Wilkins, because that's when it would be. That's the only time that it would be that they made an Eastern Conference Finals, if they made one. I'm not exactly sure. That team was such a choke artist, right? John Koncak, right? Oh God, those were some teams. Let's see. Kelvin Smith. I'm with NorCal. Wake and bake, baby. Super Boom Shack. I'm your body mechanic. Dolphin since 87 says, my man Big O, what's happening? Steve Chapman says, What do you make of Omar's article about Waddle limping when not running? His ankle is heavily taped, and he hasn't recovered from the injury. I don't know. I got to see it myself. Some say he wasn't limping, and obviously the two Sun Sentinel guys say he was limping. So I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. I didn't watch it myself. So I will hold off till we get to training camp and see where he's at. Ed Marti says, smash and dash, like the button, baby. I'll listen on the podcast, and thanks for the name of the voice doctor yesterday. Yes. Vivero will take care of you, Ed. And thank you for hitting that like button. Make sure you smash the hell out of that like button. By the way, Anthony Chang from the Miami Herald will join us at noon to talk a little Miami Heat. So we'll have a little fun with him, and we'll talk about he had an article today with Barry Jackson talking about some of the players they could go after. And the ones that he talked about are way more realistic than, the kid in Washington and the kid in Portland and the dude in the Clippers, which he have no shot in getting any of those guys. Let's see. The days of the likes of Steve Atwater at safety are over. Yes. Big O, what are your thoughts on the NFL going to a 17-game schedule? More fantasy football and one more Dolphin game. I mean, what couldn't be better? 18 games, 2 more Dolphin games, a little more fantasy football. That's what I love. Hey, look, they voted for it, Jeremy. All right? I don't want to hear about health and listen, the players are a bunch of phony bastards. Okay? Because you can't cry about how the game beats you up and the owners don't look out for us. And meanwhile, they're on the field taking cheap shots at each other, taking shots at each other's heads when they're exposed, and elbows and body shots that are just, and defenseless players. They're all full of shit. Okay? They're all full of it. Okay? They want the money. So they wanted more money. That's why they got the extra game. And eventually the owners will then get them to play the 18th game when it's all said and done. That's what's going on. I don't feel sorry for the players whatsoever. They're the ones that get constantly bamboozled by the owners. They should learn a little bit more from the baseball players, but they don't. They're not willing to sacrifice. They're not willing to really try to fight for their rights. But that's the way it is. So until you actually really fight for certain things, you're not going to end up winning. When you end up caving in every single time, why? Because in the NFL, very few guys are making big-time money, and most of them are making middling money to lower-tier money. And those guys are like, well, I don't care what somebody's going to make 10 years from now. I need my money now. I'm only going to be here 3 or 4 years. Because that's the life expectancy of most of those guys. So they only care about their money now. And because they don't keep building for the future and setting it up, they get smoked in every CBA. So I don't care about their 17 and 18 games. You know what? I'm a fan. I get more football. I win. That's the way I look at it. I get one more Dolphin game in this case. I win. Soon, I'll have the 18th game, and I'll have 2 more Dolphin games. Love it. Howard had injury history coming out of Baylor, so the bad knees go way back. That's why I'm saying you can't give him more money. The way Xavien Howard is acting now is why I wait 5 years before buying a jersey. Come on, X. Get it together. Leon says the problem with the X situation is that they're with his knees. It will be way too easy for him to fake a knee injury, as you will see scarring in the scan. Well, then, you know what, Leon? Then he doesn't get a new contract. That's all. So if he starts acting up, he doesn't get his new contract. He doesn't get more money. Acting up isn't going to get him more money. Faking injuries aren't going to get him more money. So that's kind of the trick there. Oh, you want more money, but wait a minute, don't you have to be on the field to get that? That's where it goes. We don't have the front office and the coach that is going to fold like a cheap 10 if he threatens, if he holds out. They're the front office. They're going to say, well, hey, look, man, we paid you. Sorry. We're moving on. You don't want to join us? It is what it is. What can I tell you? Moondog Trading says, thumbs up. Much love, Big O. Thank you, sir. George Albanese is in. David says, fair enough. Do we trade him before training camp for bodies for the upcoming season and future picks, or just picks in the next draft? David, that's something you cannot plan, my brother. You don't know where you're going to get the offer that you want. And you've got to, the other thing, David, is you've got to try to act as much as possible that you don't want to get rid of them. So that way there's more people coming at you trying to pry them away from you, that kind of stuff. So it can't be so obvious that you're done with them, because then you start to lose value. You have to try to play the game right now. And that's what the Dolphins are doing. They're playing the game. X should have just took a 1 or 2 year extension. He can't now with those knees, my man. He can't. He's had so many surgeries, he has to take the money. And so that's why that he wants the Dolphins to continue taking more risks, not him. It's the funny part. I like the Javon Holland kid we drafted for the secondary. You never know, he might be a steal. Oh, he's going to be a player. I love him. Moondog says, I don't buy poop coins. You talk about Shiba? Yeah, but Shiba's, there are good things about, I'll tell you, Moondog, I understand what you're saying, but like Dogecoin, you can print as many as you want. It's forever. Shiba has a set number. They burned half of their coins already. So they have a chance of gaining value. The other thing is they're about to add Shiba Swap. It's about to, any day now, any week now, Shiba Swap is going to come up. And that's going to be, that's like Uniswap. That's like Pancake Swap. So people will be able to go in and trade their Ethereum for Bitcoin, or Bitcoin for Shiba, or Shiba for whatever. And so they'll be able to swap and put it into their wallet. So that's something that already Pancake Swap and Uniswap do. And if Shiba does that, and remember, Shiba's an Ethereum-based coin. So if they're able to do that and start getting traffic through the swap, that's going to build the value. They're also going to build a blockchain on there, and they're going to have NFTs. So they actually have a plan that Dogecoin does not. And technically, okay, it's also a faster transaction through Shiba than through Doge, because Doge has old technology like what Bitcoin has. That's why Ethereum and even Cardano are much more faster than Bitcoin, because they are much more modern at this point in time. The technology is way ahead right now. So there are positives that go into Shiba that you do not see with Dogecoin. And so Shiba actually has a chance to become currency way more than Doge. If you look at the business models between the two, Doge has nothing. There is no tangible actual worth to Doge at all. It's completely meme. It's completely hype that it's lived off of. There's no substance. Where I just told you with Shiba, the Shiba Swap alone is incredible substance. I mean, that's what Uniswap and Pancake Swap live off of, and they're incredibly successful. So I get what you're saying, but because I put in a little money in Doge for fun when it was super low, and then when it got to like 7 cents, I sold it off. I never thought it was going to go up to where it did, but I did it for fun, and it was very little money. Shiba, I put in a little bit more because and the other thing is that when they burned half their coins, you know how they did it? They sent it to Vitalik, Buritek, whatever, the guy from Ethereum. I forgot his last name now. But Vitalik, they sent him half the coins, and then he burned them. But it gave them pub because they sent it to the Ethereum guy. Okay. And then the Ethereum guy sent 1 billion of those coins to India to help them for their COVID relief. So Shiba got a lot of good pub because of that. So these are things that I would tell you that there's a chance. There's a slim chance, but there's a chance that that Shiba could be something more than just a meme coin, and it could have a little bit more substance than some of those other bad coins that you talked about, Moondog. So there you go. Big Rig is in the house. Don Parlamento. What's up, baby? How about the Tampa Bay Lightning? I wish our Panthers could figure it out. It's been too long. But Don, do we get a little solace that, they lost to the best team in the league, the team that won the Stanley Cup, the team that now is again in the Stanley Cup and about to win the second Stanley Cup, you know what I mean, in a row? In a way, we can't really – the Panthers had a great year, and it's not their fault, and they had some success against Tampa this year, probably more than most teams in the NHL. They had more success against Tampa than most teams do. So they were pretty good against, the best team in the planet. And so there is a little something to that if you're going to get eliminated by the best team on the planet, it's kind of hard to ask this team to, okay, now you had your first successful year in a while with this group, first time that this group has had this kind of success. Now we want you to beat the best team on the planet. So there's a little solace in that. I know it may not make us happy because, Don, you're thinking of big picture, of the macro part of it. You know what I mean? But it's not fair because a lot of what happened in the past is not this group's fault. So the real key, Don, is how do they come back next year? Can they better on what they did this year? If they do that, then that shows us they're headed in the right direction. Omar Lopez is in. Let's see. George says, X got paid. It set him and his family up for life. Perhaps he should stop the egotistical greed and worry about pursuing that Super Bowl ring, which is missing from his resume. Just a thought. But you want him to think like a team player, George. He's thinking like a me player is what he's thinking of. JDM says maybe he just has a pimp walk. You're talking about Jalen Waddle? Maybe. Some guys have a strut to their walk. I know Mark Clayton had like a strut to his walk. I remember that. That's what Herman says. Coach Flo says Waddle walks with a limp. Well, he said maybe Waddle walks with a limp. I heard this soundbite myself too. Yes, Matt, I will address the Scottie Pippen thing very soon. Oh, are you going to any Finns games this year? Do you have any hookups to watch the games in the suites? I don't know. I don't know if I have any hookups for anybody in the suites. But if you guys want to invite me, I am more than glad to go. Okay. Jeremy says X is starting to act like Brandon Marshall and Mike Wallace, and he will be traded if he doesn't get his crap together. Expect a trade. Isai says, Big O, what would be proper compensation for Xavien Howard considering the knee injuries and wanting a new contract? I say at least a first and a second. Okay? If you can get those two, I'll take it. O'Shea Morris is in. Pipeman Slim says, 7 mil of Shiba coins. Let's go. Oh, you have 7 million coins? Nice job by you, Pipeman Slim. That's a nice number there to have. Let's see. Miami Kid J says, Jerry Jones could possibly be duped into trading a first and a second by Greer for Xavien. Maybe. I mean, he does have issues off the field. Jerry loves that. Herman says, Big O Marlins trade Dickerson. Yes, for Panic. I saw that. They traded Corey Dickerson and Adam Simber, the relief pitcher, to the Blue Jays for infielder Joe Panic and a minor league pitcher. Marlins will also send cash to cover Dickerson's $17.5 million contract. I saw that, my friend. I saw it. Uber Beans says, I don't believe Howard will play for the Dolphins again. I hope we get a first and a second pick at least. There you go. And Too Extreme is in the house. So we went through a little roll call there and plenty of questions too along the way in the roll call. We are going to be joined by Anthony Chang at the top of the hour. So in about 9 minutes, Anthony will join us. And we'll have a little fun with Anthony. here on the show. Yes. Don't forget, folks, those of you that are watching, please smash the hell out of the like button. Very, very, very important. Okay. I mean, if you want us to succeed, you want us to grow, smash the hell out of that like button. If you're podcasting and listening at your own discretion out there during the day, night, whenever, weekends, whatever, don't forget to smash the like button on our podcasts also. So whether it's YouTube, whether it's a podcast, you name it, smash the like button, subscribe, share the links with other folks out there so they know. Okay. Big O, do you watch the other Dolphin podcast show, Dudley Do Wrong, TD Finns, Miami Sports Music platforms? Yes, I do. I do run into some of those. I think Dudley does a really good job overall. Miami Sports Music, TD Finns, I'm not sure about that one. Don't know that one. I'd lie to you if I told you I know the other two, but not that one. I got to do the show with Dudley. Dudley invited me when my voice was hurting. So now that we're back, I got to reach out to him to join him on the show whenever he wants, as I know he's a hardcore fan and does his show and does a good job with it. Let's see, what else do we have here on the program? I'll hit the like button even if I don't have the time to listen. Ha. That's what Darek Bone Break says there. Thank you, Darek. Appreciate you, man. Thank you for hitting the hell out of that like button. Beat up that like button. That's what it's all about. That's what we want you to do. Beat the hell out of that like button. That's what it's all about right now. Okay? Appreciate you all. Yes, it is. Okay, there we go. Should turn off my phone, right? When they call in. Big O, will you have Omar Kelly join again? Yes, I will. There's we're planning some stuff. We're working on it. I just restarted this thing, last week. So give me some time here. We've, doing some stuff and we're trying to get this back on track here. Remember, I had to shut this down because of my voice. I wasn't able to do both onside and this. Now that we don't have onside anymore, now we're going to be doing this on a full-time basis. And I hope to do it more than even 2 hours a day. I hope to hopefully grow it a little bit more if we can. Uber Bean says, about to watch Germany beat England at soccer. Go Germany. All right. Little wafer. Big O, knowing the Cowboys ex could go there. Yes, he could. I mean, again, remember, he has off the field issues. X. Jerry loves that. Jerry loves guys that, screw up off the field. So, and this allows X to maybe also screw up off the field too, which is, I guess a useful thing for him to be able to screw up off the field. You know what I'm saying? So that kind of opens up the door for him. By the way, with that Marlins trade, the Marlins are back in action tonight. Trevor Rogers, Vince Velasquez, 7:05 is the first pitch for that game. So Marlins make a trade, which I would imagine that's one of many. You guys saw what Miguel Rojas said. He was like, well, listen, if the Marlins want to trade me, then that's fine. Let them trade me. If it's to make the team better, I want what's best for the Marlins. And let me tell you something. Miguel Rojas is incredibly easy to like. He just is. There's really no other way of putting it. He is really a likable dude. And I wish he was younger. I wish he was an absolute stud. He's a solid baseball player, but I wish he was the kind of guy that you want to keep around for a long time to come. That would be, a real positive. But Rojas is a guy you definitely want in your locker room. I mean, you want a bunch of those. He's the kind of guy that you'll trade, and then you'll be able to re-sign him in a year or two whenever his contract expires somewhere else. And if you can build your team up, then you can bring him on to be one of those key role players and a great locker room guy, those kind of things. Rojas is just, it's like I said, he's just one of those guys that's incredibly likable, and you root for a guy like that. I like him, man. I really do. And how do you not like what he said, about the team yesterday and about him possibly getting traded, which that's what's coming right now with the Marlins. They've got to move a couple of people because they're not going anywhere. So you might as well trade the Dickersons of the world. You might as well part ways with some of the veterans that you do have. Try to get more young players if you can in here. But next year, the Marlins are going to have to open up the wallets, man. They're going to have to go out and sign where they have a couple of holes, because obviously they're not going to have great young players at every spot. But wherever they do have a couple of holes, they need to fill it with one or two really good players. And maybe semi-young. They don't have to be completely old players, but guys that maybe they can sign to a long-term contract and they can be built around those guys along with that incredible young pitching staff that Miami has. You know what I'm saying? So I've told you guys, I don't mind that they're not making big moves this year because this team wasn't ready for that yet. They're still too young. But by next year, you got to get to a point where you're committed more to winning and there's more demand from the team, because you got to give something to the fans and you've got to create that environment where, being competitive is not enough anymore. You got to find a way to win more games. All right. All right. Give me a couple of minutes here. When we come back, we're going to start off hour number 2. And when we come back for hour number 2, we're going to be joined by Anthony Chang from the Miami Herald. We'll have a little fun with him. We'll talk Heat basketball. We'll talk about some of the players that Miami can actually go after. Some of the guys that are realistic and unrealistic. We'll talk some playoffs with him. I do got to get into the Pippen story also. I got a lot to say about what Pippen, and I will play that soundbite for you so you can hear from Scottie Pippen and hear about his ridiculous comments. Back in 2 minutes.
This is the Big O Show. 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 This is the Big O Show.
Back in 2 minutes. We're back in 2 minutes, and we're going to talk a little basketball again with my man Anthony Chang, who does an excellent job for the Miami Herald. You can follow him on Twitter, like I and many others do, at Anthony_Chang. Anthony, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing well, Big O. How are you?
I cannot complain, my brother. Let's first of all, your thoughts on what is going on in the playoffs. The whole Suns, Paul George dynamic. Talk to me a little bit about what you see in your eyes throughout all of this.
I mean, obviously, like it's a unique season, a unique postseason. no excuses for any teams, but it's kind of been obviously dictated by injuries, whether it's Brooklyn, with Harden and Kyrie, the Lakers with, LeBron and never really being 100%, Anthony Davis, now Kawhi with the Clippers. Like, there's been so many injuries that have probably changed or altered things a little bit here in the playoffs. But I think it's cool, though. I think it's good to have new teams you're really competing for, at this level. Like, we haven't seen Phoenix one win away from the finals, like, and I don't know how long, 20 years maybe. I think they made the finals last. Milwaukee with Giannis, trying to make their first finals. Giannis trying to play in his first final series, and Atlanta, no one expected them to be here. And the Clippers, I think they were the ones that probably aren't surprised they're at this point. But without Kawhi, them fighting and avoiding elimination last night, that was a fun game. So I think all in all, it's been a fun playoffs, full of kind of surprises and unexpected things. But there's no doubt that injuries have kind of, definitely been the story of the postseason so far.
How about legacy for you? Because one of the things I talked about when Paul George screwed up in game 2 with the free throws, and then again he screws up in game 4. Yeah. For me, I said, this guy's screwed. This guy has to win this series, because if not, it's going to be a stain on his career because of moments like that. And I know last night he played awesome. He was fantastic last night. And that's a nice way of coming back, but he's got to kind of finish the job in my eyes, because you were handed a hell of an opportunity with your team, and you got to play like a superstar and finish those games off. And Anthony, we all experienced it a little bit with LeBron. LeBron kind of had that label too until game 6 against the Celtics in that playoff series. And a lot of people look at that as the watershed moment for LeBron James, and kind of the new LeBron took over then. And for me, I think Paul George has a little bit of legacy on the line in this series. How do you view it?
I mean, I see what you're saying, but at the same time, I think without Kawhi, he has a little bit of an out. I don't think that, many expect the Clippers without Kawhi to beat, pretty healthy Suns team for the most part. So I think just him getting past the Jazz and them winning that series, the top seed in the West, without Kawhi and Paul George leading the way, and then the good moments that Paul George had in the series. I mean, he did miss those free throws. That you're right.
Dude, they're up 3-2 if he hits the free throws in game 2.
Yeah, no, I get it, but he also, without him, they probably would have gotten swept in this series. I know there's two ways of looking at it. Like, in those games, he missed those free throws, but the only reason they were at that point is because he was playing so well in those games. So yes, those free throws are huge, and he I don't want to say choked, because I don't like that word, but he not come through there in those moments where he needs to make those shots. But I do think that if they get eliminated, tomorrow night in game 6, I don't think people will be saying, well, Paul George, he's not a superstar. He didn't do this, he didn't do that. I think people will actually compliment him for what he did for the shorthanded Clippers team while Kawhi was out, especially after the postseason he had last year, where people were calling him Pandemic P, and they're, criticizing him and getting on him for his performance in the playoffs in the bubble.
You can't call yourself playoff Pete, and then you're missing free throws at the end of games, dude. You know what I'm saying? Nick Anderson, that ruined his career when he missed those free throws for the Magic years ago. He completely disappeared off the map after that. It was like he was never the same player again, because those things affected him so badly. And for me, you watch him miss those free throws in 2 of the games already in this series. And you got to say, here's the flip side of it. While I say his legacy is on the line in this series a little bit, on the flip side, well, Trae Young has shown me that he's an absolute badass. Any way you slice it and you put him on the biggest stage, the kid is ready to perform. Unfortunately, suffered an ankle injury.
Yeah, another injury right there, like we were just talking about. I mean, yeah, he's been really the star of the playoffs, I would say. Just nobody saw this coming. I mean, we all knew Trae was a really good scorer, and he's obviously a very good up-and-coming player, a rising star in the NBA. But he didn't even make the All-Star team this season, And for the most part, even this regular season, he was kind of a volume scorer. His efficiency wasn't that great, but he's turned into, he looks like one of the top scorers in the NBA right now. no doubt. And he's doing it in the playoffs against defenses that are scheming against them. He has it all. He can score at all three levels. He obviously can make threes. He can make mid-range shots. He can make floaters on the basket despite his size. He draws fouls to get to the free throw line. And I think that's impressed me the most about him is his playmaking ability. Like, it's not just his scoring. Yes, that's impressive, but his ability to get into the paint and play make for others has been so huge for that Hawks team in the playoffs that I think it's really opened my eyes and good for Trae. I know people always say, well, that trade that Atlanta made to get Trae and then they gave up on Luka and Dallas got Luka. Dallas obviously won that trade. Dallas might have won that trade. I still like Luka a little more than Trae, but hey, it doesn't look as lopsided as it did a few months ago. I would say that.
I'm with you there. And Anthony Chang from the Miami Herald joining us here on the program. Make sure you follow him on Twitter at Anthony_Chang. Anthony, I think the Heat have been such a phenomenal franchise in town that they've gotten to the point now where I've labeled some of their fans, they're called Heat zombies because they're not very realistic. They think they can sign every player. They think they can trade for every player. They think the value of their own players is way higher than it really is.
It's like Dolphin zombies, right? Like it used to
be. Well, but maybe 25, 30 years ago. You know what I mean? Right. We've been slapped down to reality now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Chris Greer and company are now trying to bring us back strong. But I mean, what the Heat has done is phenomenal, dude, because they have not only have they made basketball matter, but they've made fans passionately care about basketball the way we care about football, which is just an incredible feat on their part. And so this is where it leads to my long drawn out question here. I laugh when people are talking about Kawhi. I laugh when people are talking about Lillard. I laugh when people are talking about Bradley Beal because, well, one, we don't even know if any of them are available. Two, we don't even think any of them are interested in coming here. And three, if you're realistic, Miami doesn't have a shot in hell in trading for any of those guys unless they're giving up Bam and Jimmy in the process. They don't have the picks. They don't have the players in order to get that kind of stuff. But when I read your article today, along with Barry Jackson, and you start putting in a Sexton and a Bagley, now that becomes a very realistic option for the Miami Heat. First of all, before we get into your article, address the first part here, because maybe you disagree with me that they actually may have a shot at one of those three superstars. Where do you see it, and what would you tell Heat Nation about the chances of acquiring any of those guys?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's likely. I never rule anything out with the Heat and Pat Riley. I know, that's kind of cliche at this point, but I just don't because they've surprised us before. I mean, Jimmy, I didn't think they had a chance to get Jimmy. He was going to be a free agent. The Heat had no cap space, and they found a way to get him. So I don't rule anything out, but I agree with you. I think they just don't have a competitive offer to put together unless you include Jimmy or Bam, and I just don't see that happening.
Right.
And honestly, like, if Damian Lillard is going to want to come to Miami, he's going to want to play with Jimmy and Bam. He's not going to want the Heat to trade one of them for him, right? I mean, that kind of defeats the purpose.
It's Carmelo, Denver, New York, right? You trade. Oh no, I got to go to New York. Oh no, but you could go as a free agent, Melo. No, I want to get traded. I want my bird rights. Okay, we're going to trade the entire Knicks team, and now you have no team. Yeah, that kind of stuff. Yeah,
and it's like you said, and right now, and I wrote it in the mailbag yesterday, like, to get a star, not only do you have to have a young player to give a team, but you also have to have a lot of picks. Look at what the Nets had to go to get James Harden. It was 3 or 4 first-round picks. You don't have any to trade right now. Yeah,
Drew Holiday, dude. Drew Holiday. Look what they gave up, bro.
Yeah, same thing. So the Heat, they don't have the draft currency. They don't really have. I mean, Tyler Hero. After last season, his stock isn't too high right now. Maybe he can build up his value again this year. But they just don't have what it takes, I think, to put a competitive offer up for one of those guys. Now, if Damian Lillard tells Portland, I don't want to play here anymore, the only team I want to go to is the Heat, that might be the only scenario. Maybe it becomes a little more likely because, you put some pressure on Portland to get a deal done with Miami, and other teams know he only wants to go to the Heat. That might be the only scenario. But other than that, I just think it's hard to envision the Heat realistically finding a way to land one of those guys.
Well,
with what they have right now.
The Colin Sexton one, I don't know about Bagley. But the Sexton one that was an interesting. The only thing when you read about Sexton, supposedly he needs to be babied. Supposedly you know, tough love isn't necessarily something he reacts well to. I don't know if you had heard that, because that part of it, I don't think you guys touched on it in the story. You kind of talked about him improving his numbers and all of that, which is all true. But there is a little bit of baggage that he's kind of he needs to be babied, is what they say a little bit, which that's the only part of Colin Sexton that was like, yeah, I don't know if that fits the Heat culture, that you need to be babied, that kind of stuff. That's the only thing. So I don't know what you've heard, but first of all, walk us through some of these realistic scenarios.
Yeah, I mean, look, Colin Sexton's going to be a restricted free agent next year. So, you know, in trading for him, obviously you're making an investment in him, because you're probably going to have to give up young pieces, you know, whether it's Tyler Hero and Precious or some combination of, you know, the Heat's young players with like a veteran to match salary. But at the same time, you're not committing long-term to him, because he's, again, going to be probably a free agent next year, unless, you know, he signs an extension before then, but I just don't see that happening with, you know, if he ended up with the Heat. So it's an interesting one, because yes, you know, Colin Sexton did put up better numbers than Tyler Hero, but he was also on a very bad team. I do think Colin Sexton is good. I don't, you know, obviously I don't cover them day to day, so I can't say whether he likes the baby or not. I have read, you know, some things, you know, that kind of allude to that. But I just think he's an interesting option, because he's a combo guard. He's a scorer. He can, you know, he's competitive. Obviously, I think we've seen that even against the Heat. I think Jimmy said he really likes the way Colin plays. He's a very competitive guy. He can D up, and he's young, and he's gotten better every year, like we mentioned in the story. And it's not going to take, you know, 5 draft picks and Bam Adebayo to get him. So it's a more realistic target. You know, will it happen? You know, that was a hypothetical story that, you know, if you know, those guys are reportedly kind of mentioned in trade rumors, you know, that's kind of what it would look like if the Heat went after them. So I guess the question comes down to, would you trade Tyler Hero for Colin Sexton? Plus, obviously, he would have to give up some other players too, but that would kind of be the centerpiece, you know, of any trade for him.
Bagley, what do you think about that one?
Bagley is another interesting one too, similar to Colin, where he's going to be a restricted free agent next year. The concern with him is injuries. He's dealt with injuries throughout his entire you know, young NBA career. He's shown potential. You know, he has an interesting skill set for a big man. He's improved a good amount on his 3-point shooting, which you need for a big to play next to Bam. So he has the potential to play next to Bam, which is, you know, I think what the Heat are looking for, a big that can play alongside, you know, Bam and complement him. So another one that's more realistic, because you're not going to have to give up too much for him, but, you know, still would probably take, you know, a combination of these young players, maybe not Tyler Hero, but like Precious, and maybe exercising the option of Goran or Andre, including them in that trade as well, with maybe a pick, or finding a way to include a pick in the trade, you know, too.
Anthony Chang from the Miami Herald, covering the Miami Heat on a daily basis. Make sure you follow him on Twitter at Anthony_Chang. Anthony, you know that Pat is going to be doing, and the front office obviously is going to be doing everything possible to improve this team. What is the realistic chances that they will make a trade or two here in the process? Because I know they don't have a lot of options to trade.
Yeah.
And they don't have a lot, you know, unfortunately, I think Tyler Hero's girlfriend might have more value than he does right now. So talk to me a little bit about that.
They only have 5 players on the contract. So they have the flexibility to make major moves, you know, big changes this offseason. You know, and I'm not saying that doesn't mean they're going to get a superstar, but they could really drastically change this roster, just because they don't really have a lot of guys under guaranteed contracts for next year. But I do think, you know, I would say they'll operate as an over-the-cap team, which means they probably bring back some of their own free agents, because they'll get their bird rights in that scenario. But you know, they're going to make changes. You know, I think, you know, Kyle Lowry is a name that we've talked about a lot over the past few months. They went after him in the trade deadline. They never got him. He's a free agent this year. If the Heat are over the cap, they have to get him in a sign and trade. But if Lowry is interested in coming to Miami, I have interest there. So Kyle Lowry is a name that is probably a little more realistic than the other, you know, the ones we mentioned earlier, you know, Kawhi and those stars. But I do think they will make some moves, whether it's Kyle Lowry or another big free agent who could shoot that can play alongside Bam, like we just mentioned, Bagley as a trade target, or Bobby Portis is going to be a free agent. We saw what Bobby Portis could do in that first round series against the Heat. He's a realistic option as well. So there are avenues for the Heat to make changes. But to expect them to add a superstar like Bradley Beal or Damian Lillard is probably a little unrealistic at this point, just because, like you said, they just don't have the assets right now to get a deal like that done.
Is it smart to continue to go old in a league where you need to be young, athletic, and run like crazy? Because adding Lowry, you're adding another middle 30s guy.
Right.
Yeah, and again, you got to watch how many minutes you play him and worry about him towards the end of the year, and you kind of worry about Jimmy. And I think most of us are glad that he didn't go to the Olympics either, because the amount of wear and tear that he has on his body, that's just not a positive thing. So I'm just wondering how much concern is there? I know Riley has never mattered about, he's never really cared about that. He's always loved veteran players, but I almost get a feeling like Spo actually likes the younger players instead, that he'd rather have more youth on his roster. So I don't know if I'm reading it right or wrong here, but you tell me.
I mean, I don't disagrue with you. I think the Heat probably do need to get younger, and I think they will try to get some young players, whether it's through free agency or little trades here and there this offseason or next season. But I just think Lowry's a target because I think there's a good amount of mutual interest there. Mm-hmm. Jimmy Butler would like to play with him, so that means something. And he's still playing at a high level. Like Kyle Lowry had a really good season last year. The interesting thing in that situation, if it does come to be, will be what kind of a contract do the Heat come to terms with Kyle? Like I know Kyle said earlier this offseason that he wants money and he wants years. But again, like we mentioned, he's 35 and he's gonna be 36, and next season at some point, how many guaranteed years can you give him? Do you settle on 2? Does he want 4? If he wants 4, then it's probably there's no deal to be made. But I think that would be the interesting thing. Like the Heat don't have to commit, too many years to him. But if they can get him for 2 years and then come to terms with something like that, I think that might make sense, because again, Jimmy's not young either, so they have to win now. They can't go too young and put off, and just prioritize the future. They have to win now.
Follow him on Twitter, Anthony_Chang. More importantly, catch his work there at the Miami Herald website. Anthony, as always, my brother, thank you for taking some time, man. We really appreciate it. Enjoy the offseason, my friend. It will get interesting in a very short time for you.
Definitely, Big O. Have a good one.
Thanks, you got it, man. All right, be good. There you go. Anthony Chang, good stuff as always. There we go. All right. It's a beautiful thing. Anthony Chang. I like it. I was going to try to get him on video, but he was on the go, so we had to do phones through that. And then, because normally we've been doing the video thing now and getting everybody's face on there, since you got my ugly puss on the damn screen. Let's see, guys. Pippen's mind is still ain't right, and so screwed from that ex-wife of his. Dude got played bad. Well, you know what? Let's talk a little Scottie Pippen, and let's address the crazy comments he had for Dan Patrick on his show. And so Pippen was on the Dan Patrick show, and there's a lot of things to go over in Scottie Pippen's comments. I mean, a lot of crazy stuff we got to get to. I'm going to point it out. So Pippen was Dan did a good job of getting him on, because he's got a bourbon coming out, something like that. So I guess he's making the rounds and trying to promote the bourbon, promote the book that he's got coming out. And he called Phil Jackson a racist. So Dan wanted to bring him on to kind of clear up the comments, because Tony Kukoc, that play that he can't let go, the play that most people can't let go, the play that's been part of his legacy forever, as great a player as he is, there's that one moment that people always point at, like, you dick. What's wrong with you, bro? Get your ass in there and play with your team, And I got plenty to say about that. But let's hear from Pippen with Dan Patrick. First part here. I'm going to stop it and pause it for several points here. But let's hear Pippen addressing the Phil Jackson and addressing the Tony Kukoc play and all that good stuff.
Help me understand the GQ article where you talked about the 1994 playoff game when you refused to go back in the game and Phil set up the play for Tony Kukoc.
Well, I mean, it's not much to be said if you go back and look at when Scottie Pippen entered the Bulls and when Tony Kukoc entered the Bulls and who deserved the last shot of the game.
No, I understand that, Scott.
First of all, he does this several times in the interview that he refers to himself in the third person. When it was Scottie Pippen. And the other thing is, when he started and when Tony Kukoc started and who deserves to take the shot, that doesn't mean shit, dude. The coach calls the play for a player, the one he thinks best suits that play. Let me run an example by you. Okay, are you ready for this? Because Michael Jordan had to pass to Paxson and Kerr and to Craig Hodges to make shots. But let's get away from the Bulls, okay? Because that's where Scottie Pippen's world revolves around, right? Let me go to Robert Horry. Robert Horry played with Shaq and played with Kobe Bryant, and he took final shots. Robert Horry played with Tim Duncan, okay, and Ginobili, okay, and Parker, and he took final shots. He played with Olajuwon and Kenny Smith and what was the name of that other guard that they had on that team that was pretty damn good? Mario Elie, and there was actually one more that I'm forgetting. But anyway, and he took final shots there too. What does that mean, dude? Why? Why do you deserve the shot? If there's somebody that the coach feels is better suited to take that shot, there's nothing wrong with that. That's why Michael Jordan would pass it to Kerr, why he would pass it to Paxton, why he would pass it to Craig Hodges. Because those guys were better from a distance than Michael on a consistent basis. And Robert Horry was an exceptional shooter, and especially in clutch moments. He was like the ultimate role player for a certain time. Like every team that was championship caliber, like, oh no, let's go sign Robert Horry. He's a great complimentary player, which he was. Robert Horry had, a huge pair, bro. That guy was fearless at the big shot, and he was good at taking the. Robert Horry is one of the best big shot guys. They called him Big Shot Bob, but he's one of the best big shot players ever. Period. And Tony Kukoc was a better shooter than Pippen. So the only thing the coach was doing was calling the play that was best for the team. It's when Gene Hackman is drawing a play at the end of Hoosiers, and he's calling the play for somebody else, and they're all dejected in the damn huddle. And he's like, "What's going on?" And then obviously I forgot the kid's name, the one that said I can make the shot, and it's like because everybody wanted the one dude that I forgot his name, the guy that can make all the hoops in Hooters. The guy was just money. Because, of course, that's who you call the play for in that case. And calling it for Tony Kukoc, that's where already Pippen's got me lost already. Because the NBA is littered. It wasn't always a great player making a shot. A lot of times a great player sets somebody else up to make the shot. It doesn't take away from your moment. It doesn't take away from anything. If Pippen walks onto the floor that day and Kukoc makes that shot, it doesn't take away anything from what Scottie Pippen was accomplishing that year. But by Scottie sitting on the bench, it took away everything from what he accomplished that year. Because that's all part of the game, dude. It's Tom Brady is the man, right? But now I'm forgetting the receiver now that went to Seattle on a contract. He got MVP for the Patriots in the Super Bowl, then signed a big contract with Seattle, was a complete bust, and then they brought him back. Please help me out there. But he's a role player. You know what I mean? Brandon Stokely was a role player for the Ravens. The Ravens were the defense. The Ravens had Jamal Lewis. The Ravens had Ray Lewis. We all know why they won the damn championship. But damn it, Brandon Stokely was awesome during that time. Deion Branch, thank you. Thank you, Matt Walker. Appreciate it. Deion Branch. Deion Branch was the MVP. He made big catches. Does that mean he was the best player on the team? Does Troy Brown get pissed off at that moment? Like, no, I'm the better receiver. No, dude, we got to call the play for the right person. This happens all the time in sports. Doesn't have to be the best player to make the play at the end of the game. Has to be the right player to make the play at the end of the game. That's where Scottie Pippen is completely lost.
I'm just going by what you said. You said you need to read between the fine lines. And then you go on to say it was a racial move to give him, Tony Kukoc, a ride. So,
I mean, if you knew that Scottie Pippen had been with the Bulls from 87, battled through the Pistons and every other team that we had to get to those 3 championships, wouldn't you give Scottie Pippen one opportunity to get a last-second shot without Michael Jordan? Like, 1 year without Michael Jordan. Can I get one shot?
Finally, he says, can I? Not the third person.
Like, I'm doing all the dirty work.
But all of that I understand from the basketball standpoint. But when you say a racial move,
well, why would Tony, who was a rookie, get the last-second shot and you put me out of bounds? That's what I mean, racial. Like, that was Scottie Pippen's team.
But
Scottie
Phil
Pippen
then
was
but,
on pace to be an MVP that year, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, why would you put him in a position not to be successful? Why wouldn't you put him in a position to succeed? Michael Jordan is not there. So who's next in line for you?
But have you talked to Phil about this? Because by saying a racial move, then you're calling Phil a racist.
I don't got a problem with that.
Do you think Phil was or is?
Oh, yeah. I mean, do you remember Phil Jackson left the Lakers, wrote a book on Kobe Bryant, and then came back and coached him? I mean, who would do that?
Kobe Bryant at times was an asshole. Phil Jackson was just pointing it out. Just because he's a great player, Kobe Bryant's the one that ratted out Shaq, which is just an absolutely punk-ass move. Look, I know the man passed away, and I feel terrible that he and his daughter and everybody else in that helicopter lost their lives. Let's not make it sound like Kobe was this incredible angel or something. And Phil Jackson was just being an asshole, not a racist. That doesn't make any sense. Now, listen, maybe Phil is a racist. I have no idea. But basketball plays and players, they're not called. Phil wasn't ever coaching for race. Because if he did, then he'd want to go coach an all-white team. I mean, give me a break. He went to go coach Shaq, and he went to go coach Michael, and and plenty of players, and Rodman or whatever. Listen, I doubt the free bird is actually a racist, but you never know. But I will say this, calling the play for Kukoc has nothing to do with race. There's no way in the huddle he's diagramming this and saying, yeah, I'm since I hate black people, let me call it for the white guy. You think Phil Jackson's saying that? No, dude. He called it for Tony Kukoc because he's the better shooter. Just like you would do it for Paxson, just like you would do it for Craig Hodges, just like you would do it for Steve Kerr. You're going to call the play for what you think is the best shooter. That's why I told you Robert Horry. Because Robert Horry, for a time, you wanted him on your team. You needed Robert Horry on your team. Dude was fearless. It's nothing to do with color, man. God.
You name someone in professional sports that would do that. I think he tried to expose Kobe in a way that he shouldn't have. You're the head coach, and you're the guy that sits in the locker room and tells the players, this is a circle, and everything stays within the circle because that's what team is about. But you as the head coach, open it up, and now you go out and you try to belittle, at that time, probably one of the greatest players in the game.
Well, it feels like he's disloyal. I don't know if that makes him a racist.
Well, that's your way of putting it out, and I have my way. I was in the locker room with him. I was in practices with him. You're looking for him afar.
Yeah, and look, that's why I wanted to have you on. But I go back, and Phil designed a play for Steve Kerr when Mike was there, and Mike didn't have a problem with that, did he?
I don't want to. You're not setting me up to answer the right question. What do you mean, Phil set up a play for Steve Kerr? He didn't set that play for Steve Kerr. He set that play for Michael Jordan.
I thought in the huddle, Mike says, "I'm going to throw you the ball. You'll be open at the foul line." And Phil had nothing to do with that.
And you don't want to get this show started because it'll take us a long time.
This is a doozy.
You know all those cameras that's sitting in that huddle, who they was working for?
The NBA.
So you know who Michael was speaking to when he said that, right? That was planned. That was speaking to the camera. That wasn't speaking out of what we're going to have to do, what the play is going to be. That was speaking to the camera. Had John Stockton not came down, trust me. But that was building his own documentary because he knew he was controlling the cameras.
So let me get this straight. So Michael Jordan, before the game started, said, hey, somewhere in the fourth quarter, we're going to be in a position where I'm going to get Paxson involved, and I'm going to say I'm going to get Paxson involved in the middle. So make sure you guys are filming this because we're going to have an opportunity to hit a big shot, and I'm going to set up Paxson for it. Really? He was controlling the cameras. So, during that fourth quarter of all that, this was already planned. Sat down. Michael, before the game, sat down with the directors and the producers and say, hey, listen, in the fourth quarter, when about 8:42 left, we're going to take a timeout. And Phil's going to design a play. And in the middle of that play, I'm going to say, hey, I'm going to get it out to Steve Kerr or John Paxson or Craig Hodges. And they're going to be open. And I want you guys to film it. Scottie, come on. Let's go. Probably thinks the election was rigged, too.
You understand English?
Yeah.
Okay. So all those cameras that were working basically for Michael Jordan, not for the Chicago Bulls.
But
they were building the Come Fly With Me, the Air Jordan videos. That's what it was. That was not naturally spoken.
Okay. All right.
That was rehearsed.
Okay.
Wow, it was rehearsed and everything. So there's a script to all of this. I didn't know the NBA was like wrestling. So now we're scripting all of this according to Scottie Pippen. So then you guys never earned your victory? It was all scripted? Is that what it was? I didn't know that. I bet you guys didn't know that. It's all scripted here in the NBA. What the hell's wrong with this guy? I mean, seriously. This is why he has this thing following him. You're a great, great player, and yet you have all this stuff that follows you, man. And I don't know who put it in there that, maybe Scottie's off his rocker because his ex-wife got him that way. I mean, listen, Larsa Pippen is, she's a piece of work, okay? Not just a piece of ass, but she's a piece of work. I mean, I get it, dude. You married a bad one, and the woman went all over the place and cheating on you with Future and on your jet, I think it was, and everything that she would fly Future around and all that stuff. I mean, it is what it is. Whatever, but I mean, Scottie Pippen, dude. I don't know what the hell he is smoking. I don't know what he's doing. I don't know if this is a ploy to pump up his book and bourbon, that it'll be much better with, I mean, look at Conor McGregor. he sold his bourbon, right, for like whatever it was, like $600 million or some crap like that. And he's been loaded with controversy. So I guess maybe that works. I'm not exactly sure. It's just a weird thing. Pippen to me is just a guy that is kind of lost in a way. Look, maybe Phil Jackson is racist. I have no idea. I don't know the man. But I can tell you this, I doubt he's designing plays based on a black or a white person. I really do. You don't have that many championships because you're designing plays based on somebody's color. Okay? I just, give me a break, man. That doesn't make any sense whatsoever. I don't know what's going on with Scottie Pippen. I really don't. And all that third person stuff, oh my God. Wow. And then you're going after Durant. It's just like, I don't know what's up his ass, to be honest with you. I really don't get it. George says, didn't Pippen just lose his son after getting the shot? Don't shoot the messenger. Just thought I heard that somewhere. I don't know if he lost his son. I'm not exactly sure. I'm not exactly sure what happened. I think you might be right. I think that's something like that was in the news. I have to look it up. I'm not exactly sure. Big O, it's the bourbon talking. Whatever it is, feel bad for him, man. He sounds like a really bitter dude, and he has nothing really to be bitter about when it comes to his career. Yeah, you have a couple of moments that you screwed up, and in Michael Jordan's thing, they exposed that he, chose to do his surgery right before the season started instead of in the off season, which then he missed a chunk of the season. And that was something that obviously was pissing everybody else off on the team because it was a selfish ploy because of his contract. A contract, by the way, that he chose to sign. A contract that he chose to sign on a long-term basis and lock himself in an unfair deal. All done by him. He's the one that chose not to go back into the game. So instead of pointing fingers at yourself, and at least, you know what? It would be nice for him to just learn the word accountability. Like, yeah, dude, I screwed up. I should have gone in the game. Stop defending it. Don't go to the extreme that you got to call your coach a racist. You screwed up. You didn't go back in the game. You screwed up. You had surgery when you shouldn't have. You screwed up. You agreed to a stupid-ass contract that even the general manager told you, hey, you sure you want to sign this? Reinsdorf even said it. But once you sign the contract, anybody that knows, corporations will lock your ass down to that contract. They don't have to get out of that contract. They don't have to appease you. They got you locked down. And more often than not, trust me, ladies and gentlemen, when you sign a contract, make sure you agree with that contract. Because if you don't, they're going to have you by the balls. Those are the facts. That's life. And Pippen, you married Larsa Pippen, not anybody else. All these things, they're on you, dude. They're not on anybody else. So stop pointing fingers. Stop making accusations. How about some accountability, bro? For once in your life, Scottie, have accountability. Show a good example for your kids. Take responsibility for your actions. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm going to screw up a bunch of times. You're going to screw up a bunch of times. But we have to acknowledge when we screw up so we can learn from it. At this age, I doubt he's going to learn a damn thing. Because if he's still thinking like that, it's like he wants to fight off that memory and make it something that it isn't. You know what I mean? He wants to make it a racial issue, which it wasn't. He wants to blame others when he can't. And then he wants to use reasoning that makes no sense. You don't call the last play of a game to tenure. And I'm going to go with Who's the okay, you've been on the team for 14 years. This guy's only been on 12 and 10 and 7 and 6 and 3 and 2. You've got tenure. You're the guy. Let's call a play for you. That doesn't go that way. Oh, you're the top superstar. We're going to call a play for you only. Listen, it doesn't go that way. A lot of times you go with a hot hand. You go with the guy that can make a certain shot. You know, if you were the Lakers, hey, drop it into Kareem. I don't care what Cooper can do. I don't give a shit what Magic can do. I don't care what you can shoot, Byron Scott. I need two. Drop it into Kareem. And not because he was the best player on the team. No, it was Magic Johnson, the best player on the team. James Worthy can play his ass off too. But who the hell's going to stop that hook? Nobody's stopping that hook. Drop it into Kareem. You call the play that goes with your best opportunity, the best person to make that shot. When the Miami Heat were playing the San Antonio Spurs and they made that last shot, who was it? It was Ray Allen. It wasn't LeBron James, and it wasn't Bosh, and it wasn't Wade, the three bigger stars on the team. No. You call the play for the right person. If you don't call the play, you as players get it to the right person. And that's Scottie Pippen's responsibility. That if he has it and he has an opportunity to get it to an open Kukoc, that's his job. And he's got to be the bigger man, the smarter man to understand that guy shoots better. LeBron does it all the time. LeBron makes the right basketball play all the time. I don't know what's going on with Scottie Pippen, bro. I can't explain it. That's all I can say. All right, let's see. Big O, I don't care what nobody says. Most of these famous athletes are selfish. Rather, it's MJ, Kobe, or LeBron. You got a lot of that going around, man. Let's see. Yes, he did lose his son. So between that and the ex-wife, he isn't right mentally right now to be taken seriously and everything. I forgot what it was. What was it that his son, I forgot what happened with his son. I got to look it up. Robert Triana goes, late again. What's up, peeps? You're never late, Robert. You can always go back and check it out. And anytime you join us, we thank you for it, my man. All of you out there, Devin Jordan, George Albanese, Too Extreme, Ray, Herman, all of you on the chat board, those of you listening on the podcast. If you're listening later on this evening, if you're listening a week from this thing was recorded, whatever, whenever you're listening, thank you all. Whenever you join us, we appreciate you all out there. Very, very kind for joining us, man. Thank you very much. But the Pippen thing is it's crazy stuff, man. It is crazy stuff. Did you guys see this guy, Joe Schilling, who's an MMA fighter? He was in a bar and he got apparently he went to the bathroom. Apparently, according to the story, there was a guy that was kind of like rapping and just kind of a little drunk, a little silly or whatever. And so this guy, Joe Schilling, was coming back from the bathroom and, he bumps with the guy and looked like it was by accident. And then the guy must have said something. And this guy, Joe Schilling, just clocks him with a couple of punches and knocks him out cold. And I got to tell you something. When you're an MMA fighter, you got to have a little bit more patience and a little bit more intelligence. You're a weapon. Okay? You're a pro at fighting. The rest of us are not. Even though lots of us will be ready to fight and all that good stuff, we're not good at it because we rarely ever fight. I mean, I never fight. You know what I mean? So it's not that I'm afraid to or whatever, but I know I'm not going to be better than an MMA fighter. Those people fight for a living. So you are a weapon and you have to understand that. And that guy, it was disgusting. I got to say, it's assault. It's battery, whatever it's called. One of those two. And the guy is knocked out cold. And it looks like he's just a silly dude having some fun in the bar. And the whole video's there. From that, what was going on in that video, there was no reason to knock the guy out. You can go to TMZ to find it. It's there. And to me, it's sad. It was sad that he actually did that. I hope he gets, I hope they sue his ass, and I hope he has 2 pennies left to his name when that guy's done. Because there was no reason to knock him out. If you go look at it, you know what? I could actually, if I had planned better, I probably could have brought it up for you guys and shown you the video here. Because I know that there's a way of me doing it on this program here that I can actually, what's it called? Show you the video. I'm going to try and see if I can actually, for those of you that have never seen it, I'm going to show you the video. I'm going to see if I can pull it up and actually pull this off, because I'm not Mr. Technicality. These are things that I'm doing all of this that Sean showed me. And I've been able to kind of get by over the last couple of days doing this. Let me see if I can. I want to see if I can bring it up. This is going to be a gamble, okay? This is going to be a gamble. Let me see if I can do this. Share screen. Okay. No, I don't know how to do this. Oh, well. I thought I could do this, but I forgot how to do it. Damn it. I wish I could show you guys that, but check it out. If you can, check it out. It's on TMZ Sports, and it is disturbing. It's actually really disturbing. I hope they sue the crap out of the guy. I really do. Let me see what else. Nice job by Megan Thee Stallion making out with Young Miami. After the BET Awards. Way to go. There you go. Nothing wrong with that. Having a little fun. What else did I see? Sammy Hagar is going to have a Vegas stop, a residency from the 29th through the 30th at the former Stratosphere. What else do we have going on? Oh, I saw where we talked a little bit about this kind of in passing. We didn't mention too much about it because it's, music-wise, we kind of go in and out with that. But Mark Hoppus, who is the bassist for Blink-182, was diagnosed with cancer. And so the rocker talked a little bit about this. And I got to tell you, he goes, "How am I feeling today? I feel much better than yesterday." Hoppus responded to one question as reported by Planet Radio. "Yesterday was hellish for me. I woke up today feeling better. I went for a walk. I had a decent breakfast, and I haven't felt like I was going to throw up today. So we'll take it as a win." And then he clarified, "On good days, I go do stuff. Today was the first time I left my house in like 5 days." Wait a minute. Okay, there we go. Pretty much this is the round of chemo. I wasn't totally stuck on the couch, miserable. I've actually watched movies and walked around and cleaned the house and hung out with my dogs. I didn't just feel like a poisoned, electrified zombie leaning up against an electric fence like I did the rest in the past couple of rounds. He goes, "I can go anywhere. I can't go anywhere," he says. "I wanted to go to the Dodgers game last night. I can't. I want to hang out with friends and go to a restaurant. I can't. My white blood cell count is way too low for me to go out, so I'm stuck trying to get better. That's all right. I'll take it." And I just say this because no matter how shitty of a day you may be having, you're not fighting cancer. And, our prayers go with Mark Hoppus, and I hope he's able to recover 100% and go do the things that he loves, which is, going to hang out with his friends and go play some rock and roll and tour and all that good stuff. But to hear that, man, it kind of no matter how rough of a day it's been or whatever, it's not nearly as bad as it could be, like that for Mark or our friends, obviously in Surfside, who are going through the kind of hell that we wouldn't wish on anybody, right now. So be grateful for what you have and your family and whatever that you can enjoy at this point in time, because it could always be worse, ladies and gentlemen. Could always be worse. When I read that story, I was like, wow, man, whatever I'm complaining about today or tomorrow just doesn't mean a damn thing whatsoever. Ray Grullon, thank you, Ray. Appreciate you, my man, chiming in with a little super chat. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. I sound like a broken record, but I expect our Finns to kick butt this year. They will, man. They will. They will. Ian from Brooklyn says, damn, Big O, I'm not a professional fighter, and I would not have laid a hand on that guy. He looks like he never had a fight in his entire life. That was disgusting. Yeah, it's interesting the way you phrased it, that he looks like the kind of guy that was just a happy-go-lucky guy or whatever, or a little bit of a goof, but he didn't deserve to get, absolutely. I mean, the guy could have suffered. He probably suffered a concussion from that. And I don't know if he hit his head on the floor. There a lot of bad things could have happened from that. I get it, dude. You're an MMA fighter. You're a badass. Okay? You're a tough guy, because everybody that walks into that octagon, you've got to be tough as hell. Or you're a black belt or whatever it is. But you have to understand where you're at compared to the average person. And more often than not, you're going to seriously damage the average person that's out there. And the guy in no way, shape, or form was challenging him to a fight or anything like that. It made no sense whatsoever. It was disgusting. It was really disgusting to see what that guy did. That was sad. I got to be honest with you. I'm going to see what else do we have here. Have any other questions? Because I think I'm out of material, to be honest with you. I don't even know if I have anything else to talk about. Today was light, man. Today was a really light day in sports and things to talk about. Although I remember that I did have a couple of things. Oh, I never got this off my chest, and I can do this now. The Tour de France lady. Now, I was looking at it yesterday. I know they were searching for her as of yesterday. I didn't look this morning to see if they had found her. Any of you were watching the Tour de France, the lady that wanted to get in camera and put the sign out, and then obviously created the crash that over 24 people, fell and crashed. And the Tour de France, 3 of them had to drop out. One of them was seriously injured from the race, and they're still searching for this freaking idiot, because this bitch is just a first-class dumbass. Seriously. I mean, some of you out there, let me explain something to some of you out there, okay? If you're at home watching your home team in baseball, I'm not saying home like in your house. I'm talking about you're at the stadium, okay, and you're a Marlins fan, and you're watching a Marlins game, and there's a pop fly from the opposing team, and it's going close to you, and your Marlins player is coming for it, get the hell out of the way. The ball is not that important. It's not the biggest deal in the world to catch a fly ball, and oh my God, my life is going to be complete. The right thing to do is to get out of the way and let the professional do his job, because you're there to root on the professional. If you're in the Tour de France and they allow you to hang out on the sidelines there to watch them, okay, on the side of the road, keep your distance. These people are riding like banshees down these roads, and you're going to get in the way and cause an accident. Whether she did not mean to do it or not or whatever, I don't care. You're a stupid bitch. You're a freaking idiot. You're a moron. Okay, and if there's a way for her to serve a couple days in jail, throw her ass in jail for a couple days. Just for the amount of stupidity that bitch showed. Okay? Listen, if you're cowardly enough to run away and disappear instead of standing there and taking responsibility and maybe helping the riders up and apologize and do what a human being does, because you're not a human being after you cause that accident and you run off like a little bitch. And now they're searching for, eventually they'll find you because you were on camera. Somebody's going to recognize this dumbass. Somebody will expose her. I don't know if they have already, but I'm telling you, man, just wow. I every time I saw that highlight, it made me sick to my stomach because I feel bad for those guys. You know, look, whatever you think about cycling, whether they're cheating and they're all juicing or whatever it is, but all those guys are working their asses off. They're trying to make a living, and they don't need some idiot who's dying to get on camera for a sign. It's like it's like when you hear the stories of the person that needed to have the selfie on the cliff and then fell over the cliff. It's like, dude, why did you have to go to that extreme? Like the idiot that wants to get past the barrier and go into the lion's den to have a picture with the lion and then gets obviously, torn up by the lion. Well, you got what you deserved, idiot. That's why there's a fence. You saw, what was it the other day? There was a guy with a baby and he went inside. I forgot what den. I don't know if it was an elephant or whatever the hell it was or something. And then the damn thing came attacking. They had to run the hell out of there. And he had to get the baby out in time. Or if not, both of them were going to get mauled. It's like, I don't know what people are thinking, dude. Is it really that important for you to get that close that you put your life at risk for a selfie? Is it really that important for you to catch the damn fly ball? Is your life going to be that much better because you caught a foul ball? You're inviting all your friends over every day. Hey, I caught a foul ball. It's like, really? Come on. Oh, I have my sign in the Tour de France. Let me put it to the point where I get in the way of the riders and I cause a major accident and I injure several people. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I just, there is no common sense at times with folks out there. And this stupid bitch, I hope she serves some jail time because she is just an animal with clothes on. Yeah, seriously. Shades of the Marlins game in 97, Moises Alou. The thing is, they can't jail her because the tour allows people out there. There's no legal. No, listen, I know she's not going to go to jail. I know that. But I would love for her to serve a couple days. Yeah, just something, obviously. I mean, can you imagine you cause that accident and you don't even have the decency and the common decency of sticking around to apologize profusely, help people up and say, oh, I'm so sorry I screwed up. Take responsibility. Kind of what we were talking about with Scottie Pippen, that there's no accountability. Same thing here. Take the accountability. Yes, it's an embarrassment. You know what's a bigger embarrassment? Running away from it, and now everybody knows, and now they're going to find you eventually. Maybe they already did, and I don't even know yet. But I saw that story, and that's one thing that I said, wow, this is just absolutely ridiculous. How do you do this to people who are working so hard? And then you've caused accidents. And what I don't even know the specific injuries from some of these people. What if somebody blew out a knee or a shoulder or something and they're out for a year and they can't race their bike all year long and they can't make any money and the sponsors drop them or anything? Does she ever take that into account? That she might be hurting somebody's career by doing that? Because you got to get your little, and that's the other thing. Not only did you have to get your sign, you had to have a cheap-ass cardboard with a marker. I mean, you couldn't even actually put work into a real board. You know what I'm saying? Something that had lights and, all kinds of stuff on it. She didn't even put work into her sign. Okay? Not only that, she's a lazy-ass sign person. I don't know what you call those people. She put a sign out there that a 7-year-old would do better than what she did. And that's the sign that she put everybody else at risk for. Man, that lady is just an absolutely useless piece of turd. What up, Big O? Tampa in 4. Any big shows you are going to see? Let's hope Jeff Lynne's Electric Light Orchestra will tour in 2022. Let me tell you something, dude. I think Jeff Lynne, I think everybody's going to tour in 2022 and some parts of this year too. I think everybody, after what happened with the pandemic, the oldest bands out there, the oldest performers, they're going to get in one last tour because you never know what's going to happen now down the line. And this was absolute proof of that. You know what I'm saying? So, yes, there's no doubt in my mind that ELO will probably tour again, or Jeff Lynne's ELO will probably tour again. Okay? So I would definitely. Now, as for yours truly, I can tell you that in July 7th, in a couple days, in a week, I will go up to West Palm to see Disturbed, Stained, and Bad Wolves. That I'm going to. I want to go see Pat Travers July 17th at the Funky Biscuit. Xavien Malmsteen, not a big concert, but I love Xavien. At the Culture Room, July 23rd. I'd like to see that. I will definitely be going August 1st to the Interrupters, Weezer, Fall Out Boy, and Green Day. If you haven't seen Green Day live, they are awesome, okay? I love me some Interrupters, but not everybody even knows about the Interrupters, but I'm a huge Interrupters fan. I like ska, but Interrupters are just absolutely awesome. So I can't wait to go see the boys and the lady, of course, because Amy is the lead singer. What else is coming up? Corn and Stained is coming too. No, actually, that one is in Mid-Florida Credit Union. The one that was here is canceled. It's later on, so I'm not going to the one in Tampa. I do want to see Alanis Morissette in Garbage at West Palm Beach, August 18th. I already have tickets. I bought them well over a year ago for Primus and Wolf Mother in Orlando. Can't wait to see that. I've never seen Wolf Mother. Looking forward to that. And Primus is doing 2 sets. They're doing a Primus set and a 2112 set. They're doing Rush 2112. That's going to be awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Cannot wait to see that. Let's see. What else do we have here? I have tickets for the Toadies, Psychedelic Furs, Black Label Society, and Rockville so far. Nice, Super Boom Shack. I like it. I like it. And for All Kings or Kings of Leon? What are we talking about? For All Kings or Kings of Leon? I don't know what do you mean by that? Do you mean All Kings or do you mean Kings of Leon that you... Oh, ever seen Alien Ant Farm? Oh, yeah, man. Yeah, of course. I've seen Alien Ant Farm. I've seen them a couple times. The last time I saw Alien Ant Farm, it was at the Pompano Beach Amphitheater, and it was a whole bunch of bands with Alien Ant Farm. Yeah, they're the ones that sing Smooth Criminal, Alien Ant Farm, right? And they do their version of Smooth Criminal. Obviously, it's really Michael Jackson's, but they do a really good job. I'm not big on remakes. There are a few over the history of time that are pretty damn good remakes. That's one of them. That's Alien Ant Farm's Smooth Criminal is an excellent version of a remake. That I got to give it up to him. Josh is in the house. He says, "What's up, everyone?" It's a beautiful thing. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. All right. I think I got to wrap it up here on the show. Thank all of you out there, as always, for tuning in and giving us a little love. We always appreciate that. We will see you guys tomorrow, as always. Same time, same place, same bat channel. And, of course, thank you for the super chat action, Ray. Super chat.
No way.
Yes way. No way. Yes way.
They were fantastic.
Super chat. So thank you. I appreciate it, Ray, for a little super chat action. Thank you, sir, out there. I appreciate all of you for tuning in. Don't forget to smash the hell out of that like button before you go. If you're downloading it on the podcast at any time, day or night, please smash that like button. Share, of course, the link with everybody. Subscribe, and make sure you subscribe to the podcast. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. All of that. We got to keep building it up as always. Appreciate all of you out there. We will see you tomorrow at 11 a.m. Y'all be good.